What's up guys, my name is Arena and welcome back to my channel where I review everything tech. In today's video, I want to talk about the iPhone 11 Pro Max. I've had this phone since the release for about 4 months now. I think I'd had such high expectations for this phone just before it came out, and I have to admit, when I just got this phone, I was so disappointed and extremely impressed by this phone at the same time. So let me start from the beginning. I got my iPhone 11 Pro Max in midnight green. I wanted to try something new, so I was really excited about the new beautiful color. The iPhone 11 Pro Max has a matte finish, so no more gross fingerprints. However, the stainless steel frame is glossy, so it will look stained anyway, especially if you prefer going caseless. But this phone is quite slippery, so I usually have a case on it. A few words about the design of this phone. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm pretty much fed up with these camera designs which resemble lines, albeit vertical or horizontal, so I've personally welcomed the design of the iPhone 11 Pro Max. However, there is a downside of having this kind of camera layout. These three cameras make scratches. This is what happened after I've held two iPhone 11 Pro Maxes together for about 30 seconds. The display of my other phone got scratched right away, so just keep that in mind when you put something delicate in the back with your iPhone 11 Pro Max. This phone is pretty heavy, but if you're used to having Plus models, I don't think you'll notice a huge difference in weight. When I switched from the XS Max to the 11 Pro Max, it felt like they were the same weight, but in fact, the iPhone 11 Pro Max is about 20 grams heavier. And just in case you're wondering how 20 grams feel, this super lightweight mini notebook weighs about 20 grams. And let's talk about the display of this phone. It has a 6.5-inch OLED display. Just before the iPhone 11 Pro Max came out, I was really hoping the notch would get smaller, but no, the same notch is still here. And speaking of the bezels, they're also pretty thick, especially when compared to other flagships that also have been released in 2019. I was also secretly hoping that the new iPhone 11 Pro Max would have a 90Hz refresh rate display, but of course it doesn't, so naive of me. However, having spent 4 months with this phone, I have to admit that the display on the 11 Pro Max is definitely one of my favorites. It's sharp and really bright. It's brighter than its predecessor, the iPhone XS Max. Also, it has an extended dynamic range. The overall viewing experience is absolutely amazing, and with the dark theme, it finally feels complete to me. Also, as usual, you get some new stills and live wallpapers, which look pretty cool. No more 3D touch, which I personally liked. Instead, we get the haptic touch. Honestly, it took me some time to get used to it. Every time I tried to rearrange my apps and move them around, it was such a mess. I suddenly became so bad and clumsy at it, but now it feels okay, maybe it's just me, but anyway, you get used to it. Speaking of problems with the display on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, when I just got this phone, I noticed that my display was flickering while I was going through my photos in the Photos app. I've heard many people complaining about the screen flickering, and unfortunately, my phone was no exception. It seemed to be a software problem, so it didn't really bother me. I just knew it was a matter of time before the software update would fix this. So now this problem is solved and I don't experience any screen flickering on my unit. However, if you've got the latest update on your 11 Pro or 11 Pro Max and still experience this issue, this is definitely the reason to go to an Apple store. Next, let's talk about the battery life, and I think one of the reasons why you'd probably want to make an upgrade to the 11 Pro Max. Yes, the battery life on this phone is amazing. Apple claims that this iPhone has the longest battery life in any iPhone, at least at the moment, and from my experience, after charging my phone to the max right before going to sleep, I still had 60% by the end of the following day. So usually I charge my iPhone every other day. The iPhone 11 Pro Max is fast charge capable, so you can charge it with an 18-watt adapter or higher. You get an 18-watt adapter in the box with the iPhone 11 Pro Max. And when it comes to how long it takes to charge the iPhone 11 Pro Max from 0% to 100, I've done a couple of charging tests. The first one was when I just got this phone. By the way, you can see this test in my video where I compare the iPhone 11 Pro Max with the iPhone 11. Don't forget to check out this video if you haven't already. And I decided to do this charging test again 4 months later, just in case, to see if something has changed here. I got the same result. It took me about 1 hour and 50 minutes to fully charge my iPhone 11 Pro Max. Yes, now you don't have to spend more than 3 hours to charge your iPhone if you use the 5-watt charger that comes in the box, or about 2 hours and 20 minutes if you use the 12-watt charger. However, it's still far from perfect, and I'd love to see a more powerful adapter in the box in the future. Also, the iPhone iPhone 11 Pro Max supports wireless charging. I wish it had the reverse wireless charging as well, but it doesn't. A couple of days ago, I decided to check the battery health on my iPhone, and I was actually surprised to see 97%. So it means that at the moment, the maximum battery capacity on my iPhone is 97% instead of 100, and it's been just 4 months. I remember that I had 99% on my iPhone XS Max after 8 months. The lifespan of the battery does not just depend on time, but also on how you use the device. However, I cannot say that I suddenly started using my phone differently. Of course, the battery deterioration is normal and expected over time, but I'm just curious how much battery capacity I'll have by the end of this year. And now let's talk about the cameras on the 11 Pro Max, and I guess another reason for the upgrade. First of all, the whole camera setup was improved on the 11 Pro Max. We get the next generation Smart HDR, we get a larger and quicker aperture on the telephoto lens, so now we can get better quality photos in the low light conditions. And of course, we get the ultra-wide camera, which is so much fun to play with. I personally love watching Instagram video stories shot with the ultra-wide camera because it makes content look so immersive. So if you're a blogger, this is a really good thing to have. However, I would not recommend you using the ultra-wide camera in low light, since the aperture on the ultra-wide camera is not as large as on the main camera, and you'll most likely get a lot of noise in your photos and videos. And also, taking photos of a group of people is also a pretty bad idea. I tried this with my family, and I don't want to show you those pictures, but they turned out to be pretty bad. So just keep it in mind that using the ultra-wide camera can make people's faces look kind of weird. But overall, you could get really amazing shots and videos with this ultra-wide camera on the 11 Pro Max. One of the main camera features is the night mode, and the best thing about it is that it's automatic, so you don't have to think about anything. You just take photos the usual way. However, you can manually disable the night mode if you want, and also you can manually control the exposure time. The difference between the photos taken in the night mode versus the default mode is actually pretty dramatic, and now having tried the night mode on the 11 Pro Max, I don't think I could go back to the iPhone XS Max. The next new feature that I find very helpful is that you can start recording video right in the photo mode by holding the button. It's like in Instagram stories. It's very helpful if you suddenly decided to take a video instead of a photo and don't want to lose that perfect moment while switching between the modes. Now let's talk about the stabilization, and this is another thing that has been significantly improved, and I'm talking about the 4K videos shot at 60 frames per second. As you can see, the stabilization is so much better on the iPhone 11 Pro Max when compared to its predecessor, the XS Max. By the way, I have a very comprehensive camera comparison video on my channel featuring the iPhone 11 Pro Max, the iPhone 11 and the iPhone XS Max, where you can see a lot of side-by-side photo and video examples. Auto adjustment is another new feature on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. You can enable it in the camera settings, so when you see this sign, it means that you can adjust the frame of the shot. Really helpful if someone accidentally cropped your legs in the photo, for example, so you could fix this and save the photo. The next feature is the audio zoom. It matches the audio with the video framing. Let's see how it works.
But when the water evaporated, they got back to normal, and now the sound is just as good as before. When I opened the front-facing camera, I was quite surprised that it was almost dry. There was just a little bit of moisture on it. Both the rear and the selfie camera worked just fine.
Now let's talk about this selfie camera, and now with the 11 Pro Max you can shoot 4K videos at 24, 30 and 60 frames per second. However, I'll be honest with you guys, the 4K video shot on this selfie camera won't look as good as the one shot on the rear camera. The overall quality will be obviously worse. Another good thing about the front-facing camera on the 11 Pro Max is that now we can switch to the wide-angle mode, so you just push this button with the arrows and get a wider view. I think everybody heard about Slow-Fizz, and of course I tried Slow-Fizz, it's fun, but do I really use it? No. Next, when it comes to biometrics and security features, we get the enhanced Face ID on the 11 Pro Max. Apple claims that it's now up to 30% faster and it works from farther away and from a greater range of angles. In practice, it really feels like the Face Unlock got faster and more intuitive on the 11 Pro Max. It can easily scan your face when it's lying flat on the desk in front of you. It's so good that you forget that you actually have to unlock your phone. Now let's talk about the speakers of this phone. We have stereo speakers on this iPhone, just like on its predecessor. There is a built-in stereo speaker in the display, and the second one is down here on the right side. This on the left side is actually not a speaker, it's a mic. However, we get some new audio features on the 11 Pro Max, such as spatial audio and Dolby Atmos, which both create this immersive surround sound like in the movies. These speakers are pretty loud, and when it comes to the sound quality, no complaints here. The 11 Pro Max is powered by the new A13 Bionic chip. When I just got this phone, there were some occasional freezes, the camera app was a little bit slow, but the speedy updates from Apple have fixed this problem. So now this phone feels really fast and smooth, no complaints here. Apple claims that the iPhone 11 Pro Max has also faster cellular, but honestly, I didn't really notice any difference. It works just fine, like I guess it's supposed to. The iPhone 11 Pro Max also has a better water resistance. Apple says this is their most water-resistant iPhone ever, which is always good news since the starting price of this phone is $1,100. So guys, these are my thoughts on the iPhone 11 Pro Max after using this phone for 4 months. I personally see 2 significant reasons to upgrade to the 11 Pro Max. The first one is the new camera setup, and the second one is the longer battery life. Let me know in the comments below which phone you're using right now and if you're gonna get the 11 Pro Max. Thank you so much for watching this video and see you in the next one.